almost 500,000 people saw and were retweeting this tweet, and actually multiple tweets, calling me out by name, saying really nasty, bad things about me. I went to sleep crying. I was in a lot of pain over it. I went into a dark place. I guess I'll share my opinions on this. A lot of people don't know about my past. I've always wanted to go viral for something good, not this.
Hi, I'm AJ. The trans athletes discussion feels inescapable these days, and I think it's because competition is really at the core of American culture. Team sports are how I avoided boredom, released energy, socialized, and learned important skills like how to win with class and how to lose with grace. I've always been an extremely hard worker when I cared about something, and that helped me excel in sports. I played varsity football my freshman year. I was often chosen to be a team captain and won multiple state championships, but I was never able to take it to that next level. Even though I benched over 250 pounds, squatted over 350, and ran a 4.5 40-yard dash at 5'8", 165, I just wasn't big enough to be taken seriously by colleges. I know what it's like to put all of your eggs in the sports basket, work your ass off, and get dismissed because another athlete was more biologically compatible with the sport that I chose. I can relate on a personal level to the athletes who are forming these anti-trans sports organizations, but I also love trans people. So I hope to provide a unique perspective in helping Sara tell her story. The primary audience of this video is anyone that has doubts at all that trans women belong in women's sports. I would love nothing more than to convince you that they do, but honestly, I'm more interested in showing you how hard it is for trans people to participate in society, because that perspective shapes my opinion a lot. For trans viewers, I have a different intent. I know how many of you are doom scrolling your feed-based social media app of choice, probably Twitter, and feeling despair because of the amount of hate that you're seeing. I want to show you that good things are happening too, but you're not seeing it because there's so much noise on these platforms hiding the signal. In certain sections of this video, I'm going to be showing extremely transphobic shit with Sara's full consent and cooperation, because I think it's important for the people who even softly support these movements pushing against trans rights to see and feel a little bit of it. With the content warning over, we're going to get into it. But step 0 is I need to get you up to speed on pickleball.
Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. It was invented by 3 dads on Bainbridge Island back in 1965.
Pickleball. Pickleball. Yeah, I'm going to keep saying it like that. Everyone says it like that. It's silly. It's fun. Fuck off. Pickleball is the sport your retired parents won't shut the fuck up about. My mom's been talking about it nonstop for like 3 fucking years, and I still never saw it played until I made this video. Everyone over 55 plays or has opinions about pickleball. It's half tennis, half badminton, and half ping pong. It's the new golf or racquetball, but its professional scene is still in its infant stages.
What is pickleball? It is so fun and so easy to get into, but also has the depth to challenge you to be a better pickleball player. So for me, I didn't play sports since middle school volleyball. And since finding out about pickleball, again, 1.5 years ago, and I'm 34 years old, I have become so obsessed with this game that it has consumed me and has kind of shaped my whole destiny now. It's been around since the 60s, but only now is it really gaining momentum as a sport other than just something for senior citizens to play. I am spending so much time playing the sport, meeting people, networking, building business with this sport because of how incredibly fun it is. I am meeting people of all races, shapes, designs, cultures, and creeds, and it's uniting them. So a lot of different types of people are coming into the scene. All of a sudden, there's new players, new people, new rules, new evolution, new pickleball team owners, including people like Tom Brady, who just purchased a team. I, like a lot of people, did not expect to be a sponsored athlete, let alone an athlete by age 34. I never even considered that I could be into sports, let alone at this level. And over the past 1.5 years, I started going to tournaments, started winning gold medals for the first time in my life. I became a sponsored athlete only 2 months into my journey here. And I'll tell you, it's not because of skills. I genuinely care about people. As a coach all my life, I've always wanted to elevate people, and I have a way that I can do that in pickleball. And to see the joy from everyone I meet playing this game It lights my soul on fire. Go have some fun. You deserve it. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have some fun. Sara Weiss from Heck Yeah Pickleball. Happy pickleballing, everyone, and much love. Mwah.
All of this hate towards Sara originated from a single Twitter account called Icons, a 501c3. They use an extremely thin wallpaper of women's rights to mask the fact that they are a trans hate group with zero interest in broader women's rights topics like abortion. I mean, really, in this country, what keeps more women from participating in sports? Trans athletes or pregnancy? These people's interest in women's rights begins and ends with trans women specifically. Being laser focused on a single issue makes it easier to move their audience from attacking one trans person to the next. They run the same playbook using the same attacks with the same propaganda, even when it doesn't apply or make sense, because they know most people won't ever figure that out. These people have dogmatic beliefs and enter into the conversations completely closed off from hearing a different perspective. Sara's been on hormone replacement therapy for 9 years, completed multiple surgeries, including gender reassignment, and has 2 biological children. Sara was living the dream of many trans people, which is to just be stealth, existing invisibly in society so that she could have as close to a normal life as possible. That is until she picked up a racket and decided to get serious about a game she enjoys. Sara had no idea that there were these organizations in other countries, because she's Canadian and Icons is American, that would have so little regard for her life that they would proudly, publicly upend it over pickleball. Regardless of our disagreements or other things you want to debate around this topic, hopefully you can agree that what they did to Sara was really fucked up.
There was a Twitter post from a movement that was very against me playing in women's events, which was news to a lot of people, that I even have the past that I do, including my mixed doubles partner. He called me, he's like, you should sue them for personal defamation. You know, how, like, you got to prove that this isn't true. And I'm like, you don't think it's true? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what they're saying about my past, about, you know, the gender I grew up in, yeah, it's true. He was like, what? You know, I spent this week, there was some darkness. Like, I'm telling you, I was hurting for about 24 hours. It hurt to see so many people spew hatred towards me. And my ego wanted to hurt. It was all ego. Because here's what's so cool. This social media movement in the background was very hurtful. It was dark. It was mean. It was ruthless. It was intense. The stuff people were saying about me who don't know me was really dark. But in my reality, what I saw in person, in front of me, was beautiful. I was surrounded by love, incredible people who were lifting me up, who were playing with me, cheering me on, and vice versa, who I was cheering on, I was having fun with. I was bringing some love and excitement. It was amazing. It was an incredible experience. But in the background, where nothing was real, nothing was my reality, my in-focus reality, there was this darkness. And for about 24 hours, I let that darkness consume me. It made me cry. Like, I showed up to the court and I was like trembling because I wanted to show up for my partner. And it was really hard. If you know me, if you've seen me at a tournament, I show up really happy. I'm like a puppy dog. Like, this is so fun. I meet everybody. I give everyone hugs. I take pictures with everybody. And that day that I showed up after seeing this movement, I had my head down. I didn't want to make eye contact. I didn't want anyone to see me. I wanted to be invisible. I was afraid. I was anxious. I didn't know what I was going to face. I didn't know if I'd be hurt. I didn't know if someone would come up to me and just put me down. And that fear controlled me over something that wasn't even happening. I love this community so much. God, I'm such a sap right now. I love everybody I meet. Every single person I meet in this community has been fucking awesome. I love you guys so much. It's changed my life forever, forever. And I don't care if you want to make me play in a guys division. Fuck, whatever, I'll do it. just want to be challenged, and I want to be around this community that I love so much. Let me take a breath.
I love team sports like soccer, but I also enjoy the purity of the single event competition style sports like track and field. And yeah, I get it's still a team competition with everyone's performance being added up to a final victory at the end, but I only ever gave a shit about how I did. The way track and field is balanced to protect against some future Olympian running the tables on half the events is that each athlete can only do 4 in competition. Sprinting came naturally to me, but even in a short 100-meter race, you realize that there are quick people and there are fast people. I was the former. The 100-meter dash was my first event, and I usually got second or third. But my quickness made me a natural starter for relays, and I have several first and second place finishes in the 400 and 800-meter relays. That was my 2 other events. Other sprinters who had higher top-end speed than me would usually do the 200 or 400-meter dash as their final event, but the 110-meter hurdles fit my quickness better, and it was no time before I was crushing the best hurdlers from every school in my district, even as a sophomore. My senior year, I was stoked for the chance to be the best hurdler in the state of Alaska back in 2004. I was in the best athletic shape of my life, completely focused on the 14 seconds it was going to take to get to the finish line. But when I lined up next to the other 7 hurdlers, I realized I was the only one under 6 foot. All of us had to clear the same 42-inch hurdles, but only one of us had to jump over them. In that 14 seconds, I watched as my first place position right out of the blocks evaporated one hurdle after the next when I was passed by the other athletes casually stepping over their obstacles. Fuckers. Not that I'm angry 18 years later. That 6th place state finish was such a disappointment after having so much success. Today, I still carry some of those negative emotions, but what's changed is that instead of resenting the other athletes because they just happen to get the tall genes, I wonder why my hurdles had to be the same height as theirs. Why 42 inches? Why not 39 inches, which is what the women's were at? Or just maybe, I don't know, hip level for every athlete? When you deeply understand these sports and so can think a little more abstractly about them, you see that there is just so much inherent biological unfairness. If you do truly, sincerely care about fairness in sports, then maybe we should focus on making games less weighted towards specific physical, immutable characteristics like height. Only then will it be about who trained the most and wanted it more.
I have felt this way all my life. All my life. Since day one. As far back as I can remember, at least. Some of the things that I did back when I was a child was I was very effeminate. Grandma and my mother were my closest. They were the closest to me, and then my sisters. And they knew that I was different. They called me gentle soul. I was very effeminate. I was very sensitive. I was very different than the boys. Now, they thought I would grow up and come out as gay. Because, I mean, no one really knew much about transgender. And I've said that word so much more than I have ever in my life, but there it is. Hung out with the girls and identified more with girls than I did with boys. I had thoughts that did not match being a boy. I didn't ask for those thoughts. No one told me to have those thoughts. I wanted to wear dresses. So whenever I had a chance and I, could find some kind of alone time, even as a child, I would steal my sister's clothing and, hide and put it on. And I felt so pretty and I loved it. I also had friends in school do my makeup as a joke. Stuff like that. So this has been going on for as long as I can remember. But once I turned around 11, I guess, and started having puberty, that's when it got serious. My mind started to have thoughts of getting pregnant. And I had this major desire of getting pregnant and conceiving a child, loving my baby bump. That was hard on me because I knew that would never happen. I had thoughts of, sexual fantasies of men, but not of men as if I was a man with a man. My thoughts, my fantasies were of me as a girl with men. Puberty was very, very weird for me. And it's where it really got kind of serious. And I was like, oh my God, I am so different. I'm fucked. I thought I was crazy. I decided, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and fit in as a boy. That's what they want. That's what society wants. I literally had to do research on how to be a guy because I was different. I walked different. I was this sensitive girly boy. I literally Google researched it. It was like how to be a boy, how to be a confident boy. And I adopted all these things. I looked at other guys around me and I mimicked how they walked, how they talked, what they did, how they held themselves. And I created this character, this persona, this avatar. And I did it very well. From puberty and on, no one had an idea. But my mom and my grandma always, multiple times a year would come up to me and say, hey, if you ever come out, you have a safe place with us. No matter how macho I seemed to become. I started going to the gym and started to work out. And I started a landscaping company at 22 years old, laying brick. I really worked hard. I deserve an Oscar. It never changed. Throughout my life, if I was stressed, I would go into a corner in my bedroom. And there was a point in my life where I actually went out shopping. This was so nerve-wracking. I bought makeup and I bought some clothing and dresses and clip-on earrings and stuff like that. And I would hide and I would get dressed. And it was the only time I felt free in my life. It was like, this is me, that I'm being me. And it was interesting because, at that point, I'm like a 200 to 220 pound macho dude. You guys wouldn't believe, if you saw what I used to look like, you wouldn't believe it. It's night and day. I don't look like that person. I would see the mirror, the reflection, I'd be like, oh my God. And it was funny because I would see, it's like, you're so beautiful and you're so fucking ugly. Oh my God. But I felt so free, especially if I was stressed out and stuff. And there was a point and, I started to do things like go on Craigslist. I felt so dirty about it, but I had human needs clearly that I needed to fulfill. In my 20s, I would go on Craigslist and there was a couple meetups I had that felt very dirty and felt very I should be ashamed of myself, but I had to. It was this human need was devouring me. I would lay brick all day long. And in my mind, and no one had an idea, no one had a clue, but in my mind, I'm holding this huge freaking diamond blade saw cutting brick. And I'm thinking, if I was really me, I would have this beautiful bedroom with fluffy pillows and purple on the walls and butterflies hanging on the ceiling and scented candles by my bath. And I had all these thoughts that I could not avoid. They just flooded my brain. I couldn't do anything about it. As much as I tried so hard. Oh my God, I'm getting emotional. It was hard. I tried so hard to be normal. And I prayed every day. I cursed God and I said, fuck you. Why'd you do this to me? Can you not help me? Just wake up normal, please. Because it got worse as the years went by. It was the thoughts consumed me more and more and more. And I spent so much time asking, what the fuck is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? 10 to 50 to maybe 100 times a day, I would ask that question to myself. What the fuck is wrong with me? What the fuck is wrong with me? What the fuck is wrong with me? I found out what transgender was. I was like, holy crap, there's other people that are experiencing what I am in their own different ways. My ex-wife, because I was married to a woman, that's how I have 2 biological kids. She was at, rehab for alcohol. And this is a time that I finally really explored. And this is when I was getting into this hypnosis thing. I was 25 or 26. And I was driving and I went to a store and I picked up some flowers to hang from my mirror. And I hung them there. This was after kind of releasing in hypnosis, who am I really? And those flowers were hanging from my rearview mirror in my car and I'm driving. And I had this sense of peace and comfort just having them there. And I felt so at peace that it scared the shit out of me. And I realized this was no fetish. I mean, I already knew it internally. But in that moment, I got so scared. I'm pretty sure I pulled over and had a hyperventilating thing. It's this was no fetish. That for my whole life, I was a girl in a boy's body. And that thoughts, I've had it all my life, but it scared the shit out of me. What is the implications of that? First of all, I'm married with 2 children. On the outside, it looked like I had this amazing life. I bought my house when I was 21 years old, started a company at 22 years old, had been running it for 7 years, landscaping successfully, and married to a woman. And I'll tell you right now, though I loved any woman I was with, I wasn't thinking about women in the bed. I was thinking about men. And it was funny because as I was having sex, and yeah, maybe this is TMI, I'd be having sex, and it was like I was projecting myself into the woman I was having sex with, as if I was the woman having sex with the man that was me. What a mind fuck. My nose is done. For those of you who don't know, it's nothing crazy. It's very subtle. My mom actually was like, you should look up Thailand. I'm like, I'm not going to Thailand for surgeries. She's like, look it up. And I looked it up. I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to Thailand for surgeries. The top cosmetic surgeons are there, and they're like a quarter of the price. So yeah, 7-8 months later, a girlfriend of mine who had applied for a reality TV show because she had acne scars and she wanted to get some work done on her face. She's like, dude, you should apply. I'm like, dude, yeah, I'm going to. And I applied. And at that time, I had a YouTube channel with a pretty big following. And I privatized all the videos. And I'm wondering if I should unprivatize them so you can see where I came from. I have lots of videos. I was actually making money on YouTube doing this, documenting my whole entire journey. And this cosmetic surgery reality TV show was going to be held in Thailand. Guess who got accepted? Yeah, I was on a reality TV show, guys, in Thailand, and got the work I wanted done for free by one of the doctors in my top 3 list. I wish I could go back in time and speak to that person. Give him a big hug. He needed it. He needed it. Life is crazy, guys. And it's never what you're going to expect it to be. When I transitioned, I started to do my YouTube, I was in a dark place. And yesterday I mentioned about the LGBT community and how it can be toxically negative. I was part of that toxic negativity, not towards the LGBT community, but in my life, I cursed God every day. I fucking hated life. I hated God. I hated where I lived. I was in this like townhome just above ghetto, living with bed bug infestation, waking up to these little bugs on me. I hated it. My ex-wife was not there for my kids. I had 24/7 custody, and I still do. Single mom. In this shitty living scenario, my bedroom was like my living room, so it was cluttered because I used to own a house, so I tried to somehow squeeze everything into my bedroom while also trying to recover from surgery, while also trying to socially transition, while also trying to go through female puberty without many friends because all my friends turned their back on me. The most nerve-wracking thing in my life was coming out to every single one of my friends, and they all turned their back on me except for like 2 people. Life is fucked, guys. It's fucked. Doesn't mean you have to let it kick your ass all the time. You can rise above it if you choose to. I got to a point where I was sick of being in this dark place. And I was like, I had to rise above my pride and seek help. Not like psychologists, because I had already been to psychologists and they're telling me I'm not crazy and just I am who I am. But this was different. This was me being negative about my life, hating myself, not taking responsibility for my life because I had blamed everyone and everything on where I was. My life is shitty because everyone turned their back on me. My life is shitty because God cursed me with this stupid curse. My life is shitty because XYZ. I kept blaming it on everyone else. And one day I was like, I have to do something about this. It was the moment after I sold my body to pay for rent. It was a very low moment for me. And I'm not saying that that's not, an empowering thing for certain women to do. I didn't choose to do it. I did it out of necessity and it felt shitty. And I was like, I need to take responsibility for this and do something. This is not about everyone else and their fault for why my life is so fucked up. And I found a mentor. And my life finally went on the rise. I started to find gratitude again. I never planned to be in sports, let alone a sponsored athlete, let alone a potential to go pro. As long as the world lets me. Follow your heart, follow your soul. My heart, my soul told me I have to be vocal right now. As much as I don't want to. I don't want to have to be outing myself as anything but me, Sarah. But I'm here doing it. Because if my heart's telling me I have to, and it feels better than I expected. I feel good to share with you all what's going on, what I see, what I'm experiencing, because I know that there is some positive coming from it. I see so much negativity, so much, hate. So many people are like, it's not hate if we disagree with you. No, it's not. But the words you're doing, the slurs you're using, you're trying to tell me that I am not a woman when I've asked you, please just use the proper pronouns because that's respect to me. If you don't want to do that, and I will continue to say this, go fuck yourself. You're not my people. And that's okay. But, I do want to educate, and I think that's what I'm doing with these lives. And I don't want to respond and justify in every single comment that has all pretty much the same, your biology is this, you cannot argue this, and negatively affecting women. Fuck off. I am a woman. I stand for women, and I rise with women. If you don't see me as a woman, then of course you're not going to think that I am helping women. But when you actually see that I am a woman and I do well, you see women rise. I look in the mirror and I'm like, you did it. You fucking did it. Look at you. God damn. I'm so proud of myself. I really am. And it's okay to love yourself, guys. You can look in the mirror and love yourself. And I encourage you to. I do that now. I do that.
As I've gotten older, my interest in high-level competitive sports has really fallen off a cliff. It started with the realization of how exploited football players are at the college level, making millions of dollars and bringing prestige to their school for fucking table scraps. CTE wasn't a thing I was ever informed about until after my football days were over, and there is no way to know how extensive the damage is to my brain until I'm fucking dead. I have a family history of dementia. I'm afraid for my own mental health as I age. And I'm terrified of following Junior Seau, Aaron Hernandez, fucking Philip Adams, who killed 6 people before putting himself out of his misery at 32. All of them, and a lot more people who did really bad things to themselves and others, had CTE. I can't not see how money is corrupting these games, taking them from fun activities that use competition to encourage us to stay healthy, active, and teach life lessons for how to be a good person. The money transforms all of these games into a lottery where only the physically gifted matter, but only as long as they stay healthy and continue to bring money into the organization, who are often owned by people who were never athletes themselves. I'm not interested in engaging in any conversations around sports where the safety and humanity of the athletes is not at the center. And with that lens, the solution to trans athletes in sports seems incredibly obvious to me. Just deal with it on a case-by-case basis. And I'm happy to say that despite all the hate and the noise, that does seem to be where things are going. That's probably why they're so loud and desperate. They know they're fucking losing. The US Open Pickleball League, in response to Sara's situation, revised their rules for the event Sara was outed in. It used to be this complicated thing involving T levels and all this shit that is variable from person to person, but that's all changing from the top down as the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, has been revising their rules. Quoting from the new US Open Pickleball policy, as we understand it, the IOC framework focuses on 10 principles: inclusion, prevention of harm, non-discrimination, fairness, no presumption of advantage, evidence-based approach, priority to health and bodily autonomy, stakeholder-centered approach, right to privacy, and periodic reviews. Each athlete will be treated on an individual basis. Male to female will be accepted in female events with an approved rating by Spirit Promotions. Athlete and Spirit Promotions will agree upon the rating used by the athlete. As a lifelong athlete and firm believer in the power of sports to build communities, expose people to new cultures, and give people a fun, healthy way to spend their time, this is what I support. I wanted to make sure as many people as possible saw Sara's story because I think it is a perfect demonstration of the cost for not placing humanity at the center of these conversations. It's not surprising to me in the slightest that someone as resilient and determined as she is also a great pickleball player. So you watched the video, high level, like what do you feel about it?
Ride. It's kind of like my life, you've really kind of touched on the highs and the lows of what's been going on with not only like my life, but athletes in general, let alone the whole transgender population. And for me, as someone who hasn't identified with the whole identity of transgender or even the whole pride parades thing, I was never really part of that group. But now that I'm in the limelight, in the crossfire, basically being attacked for being part of that group I never identified with, to see all of what this like evolution is happening. Like in my life, I'm growing like crazy at an alarming rate, and embracing the fact that I am, you know, kind of representing a group of people who need someone to stand up and say, hey, like, we're not scary. Like, I'll come give you a hug and prove to you that I'm no threat to you. I'm no threat to women. I'm no threat to anyone's dreams and hopes in athletics. I just want to give everyone a big hug because I know how crazy the world is, not just for me, but for everybody.
A lot of the people in my Discord, a lot of the trans people I know are much younger than that. They're 16 to like 23, 24. What is just kind of like some general advice that you would have for them?
Everyone needs to work on this is self-love. Our self-love is highly challenged and tested when we come out and lose our friends, lose our families, are constantly looked at as some weirdo or freak. We forget to love ourselves. We start to believe them. You know, we start to believe that we are a freak. I remember when I believed it, you know, someone would, yeah, I want to cry. Someone would call me beautiful, and I'd be like, I'm a fucking freak. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, that sucks. It gives me anxiety thinking about those times. I don't anymore. It took a lot of work to love myself, who I am, fully and completely. I had to stare at the mirror every day for a long time and let all the noise come out in my head. Like, you have broad shoulders, you're too tall, you don't pass, you couldn't be stealth, you this and that. And like this voice comes up, and I had to just love myself through it and go, it's okay. And like hug myself. Literally, I would stand in front of the mirror and just hug myself like, it's okay, you're gonna get through this. I love you anyways, no matter what. And I highly recommend anybody who is in this journey to start off with self-love. Because when you love yourself, this noise just becomes background noise.
I checked in with you a lot on this video, and because as I made decisions, especially about, I'm extremely sensitive to, I just know so many trans people that like do not want to look at photos of themselves pre-transition, for example, who delete everything on the internet that they have for that. Like, you have put in so much work to become comfortable with not just the person you are today, but also the person that you were.
It's funny because I look at these pictures like I don't relate, I don't identify with that person. I love that person because that person led me to existing. That person handled all for me it was 26 years of, oh my God, so much self-doubt. I had to learn to love him too. You know, and I've been asked recently, like, what would you do differently? Like, if you could go back in time, what would you say to him? What would you tell him? And I wouldn't tell him anything. I would give him a big hug. I love myself as I am today, so I would change nothing. I would change nothing. I have 2 beautiful children because I took so long. I had to overcome so much crap, and it just made me stronger. So anyone who's just beginning this, embrace your mountains. Embrace the adversity that you're facing and let it grow you. It was hard. It was very difficult. I had a lot of moments of weakness, a lot of darkness, moments where I wanted to end my life. But you gotta remind yourself who the fuck you are, and you know who you are. I'm a powerful miracle. You all are. You're all miracles. Don't ever forget it. You bring tons and tons of value to this whole universe, to the people around you, to the future people who need you to be strong. The decision I made to face this and to tell everyone in the world around me, my best friends, my family, as nerve-wracking as it was, and watching so many people turn their backs on me and all the discrimination and giving up white male privilege for misogyny and sexism and being condescended and belittled all the time, it's worth it. The happiness that I have, the peace, the freedom that I experienced because I went through all of the crap that I went through, worth it.
I was just extremely inspired watching your story, to be totally truthful. And again, the way that you handled it was, in many ways, it was superhuman. Like, you did everything on your own. I really just came in and picked up the pieces and like collected it together at the end. So I just want to say, like, I am amazed by it. I am in awe of it. And I think that, yeah, I just think that you're inspiring to me. So thank you for everything you did. And I'm really glad to, that you gave me this opportunity and you trusted me to help you tell this story.
And I gotta say, don't discount yourself. You were a big help. AJ, you were amazing. for anyone watching, he did check in on me. He would send me messages like, "Hey, how you handling all this? You doing okay?" And I'd be like, "Crazy day," but I'm here still. And it meant a lot to me. I even told you, you helped me feel that I can be myself. Talking to someone who, I just met through people who play pickleball who referred me to you, and, you wanted to do a video, and I was able to talk to you very openly without feeling like I would be judged or like anything I would say would be weird or awkward or whatever. You just you gave me like a big YouTube virtual hug, and it felt really good. So thank you.
I'm really glad to hear that. Thanks, Sara. Thank you for saying that.